And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Alien Spaceship stream. You could be watching from anywhere around the country or the world, and I really appreciate every single one of you. Coming to you from the Spaceship Studios from a galaxy far, far away. And now, what we will be doing is I have some things to say about. I was keeping up with the Diddy trial today, and I was keeping up with the other ones too, but mostly the Diddy trial and the other things that we talk about as well on the channel with the aliens and different stuff like that. And now I'll be switching over so everybody can see me. Alright. Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's me, Alien Spaceship. I hope everybody is having a good Friday, and I hope everybody does have a good weekend. So yeah, we have not a preach, that doesn't make any sense. We have approached the end of the week. So, and now the weekend is coming up. So, what I'm going to be doing is, I'm going to be playing the game for a little bit while I talk about these different experiences I had. And also, at the same time, later on, we will be doing looking into some different updates and articles and stuff as well. Alright. So now let's get the game started up and let's get right into it. Alright. Okay, it's loading. Yeah. Alright, so today the defense did closing in the Diddy trial. That was quite interesting well, we didn't see it, but we heard about it and saw updates about it. And the trial chat was pretty cool, and they did a good job reviewing with the panel, these different legal professionals viewing the case and saying commentary on it, because the audience will have questions and they'll go and answer them. And I think that's very cool to see, because people have a lot of interesting perspectives. That's why I think that having a teamwork of people is very important. Getting responses and ideas from different people is very good to get. All right. So on Monday will be the verdict watch. On Monday. Now on Monday, they'll do that, and today, court was obviously dismissed much earlier. So that'll be good to see. And it may take hours or days to see what the verdict will be. Allegedly, with the Carlos trial, it is taking up a long time. It's taking up a long time. So, with a verdict with that one, allegedly it's like 3 weeks or so. I guess I'm going to go hang out in that cave, then we'll go to the other thing. Which, the other thing is the sinking of ships. Right, so that is the waterfall. Not the waterfall, but it's the lava moving. And this game, over time, has drastically improved the graphics, and it's far more graphically better than the original version from a decade ago when they ended it. It was either 2014 or 15 they ended it. Because I remember, one time I was going to go play it, because I didn't play it in a very long time. They ended the game, and they said Toontown also was remade, which I've not played yet again, but I will have to do that, and we'll do it on the stream. We'll do a Toontown stream. I have some different game ideas to show you all. Alright. And basically how we get updates with the Diddy trial, because some people, I'll word it a certain way that I was watching the Diddy trial, but people got to understand it's not exactly what you think. It's just you're getting updates, and people on the panel will go and talk about their perspectives on it on the Law and Crime channel. Alright. Alright, so we're having that. Taking out some of these enemies. Right, so I think that... So Diddy, he's accused of doing a couple different things, of racketeering with Rico, with prostitution, and other sexual charges he has against him. So the defense is trying to say that it was consensual, So trying to challenge what the narrative of what the witnesses are saying and questioning their motive about why they did what they were. Why do they want something out of him? They want money or revenge. At the same time, though, these people were allegedly, and it's alleged because it was not. It has to be proven in a court of law for it to be like. That's why you say alleged. It was alleged that he was abusing these people and forcing them to do these certain actions, and he was known to threaten people allegedly, and with bombing threats and stuff. And then some other things that are relevant to the case is about Tupac, and he allegedly had him deleted. I'm also hearing the same thing with his friend Biggie that he had. So he seems, from when I first learned about him, I was learning that he was kind of shady, so I didn't trust him. And this other stuff came out about him. Although I have an open mind, it seems that, in my opinion, he's guilty. But hey, a jury can be unpredictable. They can be completely unpredictable, and that's something to keep in mind with these type of trials and cases. And I think that would be good for people to, understand that, because trying to predict what a verdict will be, it can sometimes be quite easy. Other times it's actually quite difficult to figure it out, because I've said, somebody was going to be innocent and they're guilty, and somebody's guilty and they're innocent. So we will see. And the prosecution is, their job is to lock the people up and convict people. And then you argue back and forth between the state and the law, the back and forth. That's what they do in their cases. It was quite funny today outside the courthouse. They had one of their people out there, and she was speaking directly right from the courthouse, from outside of it. And hello, Abby. It's great to see you. Welcome to the chat. I hope that you're having a good day. I hope you're doing well. And it was quite funny because you had these people that were outside the courthouse screaming "Free Diddy," and I thought that I was. It's very faint to hear, and I was listening very closely, and I thought that they were saying "free something else." They're saying that there was. It didn't make any sense to me. That I want to say so. I thought they were saying "free dick," but it's actually "free Diddy" because it was something from a distance I was hearing from the. We all heard the same thing, the "free Diddy" thing, but I'm like, oh, okay, that's what they mean, because the other thing wouldn't really make any sense, and it was kind of funny. So they have people outside the courthouse that were protesting about Diddy being locked up, and they were saying "free Diddy," and he had a. So it seems like a circus that was going on out there. Did I hear about the chick dancing in front of the O'Keefe's house? I think I heard about that. Yeah, that was also something that was quite wild to hear about. Yeah, it's people with these different protests that they will do, and the things that people will be quite wild. People will be quite wild, and I don't know a lot about that incident, but yeah, I did hear about it. And with the O'Keefes, I assume that there's going to be more stuff like that happening. It's not going to end. It's just the circus that continues. And like we were in another chat room, and they were saying about some free Karen Reed people. They were trying to cause some other problems. Oh, hey, hi, hello to you, woot woot, Rebecca. Shout out to you and Leon. So that's there seems to be causing some more trouble in the chats, and they're allegedly talking about Koberger being innocent. So they're going to have probably during the Koberger trial. Unfortunately, they were going to have some more people having some more fights like they did before. I guess some people just like to fight and cause a ruckus. Abby says that's really messed up. They just wanted justice for John. I feel they need to leave the family alone. Exactly. Because I think that justice for John is important. It doesn't mean that the family shouldn't be attacked. And the family really believes that she had something to do with it. That's their right to think that way. And although Karen Reed is controversial, we don't know what her intentions are. She claimed that she wanted justice for O'Keefe too, so that's something allegedly they would both agree on. And the family should be left alone. They lost a loved one, and people, like, they weren't like trying to go after Karen Reed to go after her. They thought that she was responsible for her boyfriend's murder. Yeah, they just need to leave the family alone. I agree. It just, like, basically another problem like becoming famous. That's what will happen. I mean, people that are like, even Linkin Park, the lead Chester, rest in peace to him. People would go to his house and try to post their number on his wall and stuff. I mean, it happens like when people, any kind of attention, you'll have people that'll do stuff like that. And I think that whatever the verdict would have been, they still would have found him. They still would have done that anyway. Ah. And Abby says, "Oh no, Koberger is not innocent. Justice for the Idaho 4, justice for victims in any crime." Amen. Yeah, I agree that I think that he's guilty too. Definitely. Because, and also his eyes. His eyes look weird. Like, he looks like nefarious looking. So as I said, I do think that now Silver Fox, she hasn't been here in a while, but I got knocked out. She thinks that he is innocent. Now, we were discussing about the possibility, which I don't think he's innocent, but just like for sake of argument, we were talking about that and the different points, which I do think it's interesting to hear the other side of why people think he's innocent, although I don't think he's innocent. And because, like, say, Ted Bundy was very good at what he did, and so was John Gacy. There's people that did things that were very atrocious that were good at hiding it. So it was an interesting conversation. But yeah, I do agree that he likely was guilty for what he did, definitely. And okay, thank you, person, for helping me. Okay, and exactly, Alien. That's why aliens are better than humans sometimes. Yeah, right on. Yeah, that's why us aliens, are just observing the Earthlings and seeing all the trouble that they're causing. And, we're just like, there's some aliens that are not that good, but yeah, we have much more peace than these other Earthlings on Earth. We're trying to help them out. And Abby says, yeah, he took that hoodie selfie because he was really getting in his head about it. I believe he would have done another attack. I agree, Alien. Right. Exactly. And let's see. I'm going to go help this dude out real quick. Let's see. I think it's this one. See, I got some powers here. What trials are you going on that you're watching? I've been gone for a week. Okay, gone for a week. Okay, we've been watching the Preppy murder trial. We've been watching the other trial with there's a verdict in the boyfriend murder trial, It's this dude that killed that probably deleted his boyfriend. He went missing. Oh, hello, Gloria. Scared. Though the Dominguez, there's a verdict in that trial. I did not hear it. I thought that they were still deliberating. No, I didn't hear about it. You could say you could tell us what you know about it. It's okay. It's okay. Wow. Wow. Not guilty on first degree murder and mistrial on second degree. Wow. That is crazy. Abby, how far into it? How many days? And also, I'm watching Diddy. All right, and Abby says there's the Preppy trial going on. I think the missing BF trial just ended with the second degree guilty verdict. Yes. And Abby says, Gloria, I just saw no way, Rebecca. I'm not sure for Preppy trial. I've never count days or pay attention to it, and I can't even imagine how the surviving victims feel about the tragedy. If the Orange Man Trump pardons the fiddler, I'll lose my shewlet. I will too. I will too. Yeah, I would be triggered over that also. Yeah, the Diddler. And I've been watching the Diddy trial. As I said earlier, it was like they were chanting "Free Diddy," and I thought that they were talking about another word. And I was just like, that's what I thought that he was talking about. And the person, there is a person at the trial that was not at the trial, but at the courthouse, and they kept saying "Free Diddy, Free Diddy," and I thought they said something else, another word. I'm like, that can't be. And then they were just saying "Free Diddy," so I wasn't really triggered. I wasn't like, okay, like why are they saying that nasty word in front of a courthouse? I hear you, Abby. That's the wrong one. Wow. Which doll is it? Yes, Free Diak. That's what I thought the guy was saying. I thought he was saying Free Diak. Free Diak. And also, yeah, Diddy is such a slime ball. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I just... Is this it? I don't know which doll it is. Yeah, let's see that. I guess that'll work. There we go. Yeah, because so basically it was outside the courthouse, and I heard a faint voice saying free Deke, free Deke." And I'm like, "Why are you saying that in New York, outside of a federal court trial?" And I'm like, he sounded very happy. The person sounded very happy about it, and it was like absolutely insane, but it was actually free Diddy. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, what on earth? And the dude sounded very happy and enthusiastic. So we at least get that. Now, scared. I don't know what I feel about that. I don't want either of them. I don't want free Deke or free Diddy. But that was hilarious. So because I was with Libby over there and some other people, and I'm like, what on earth? That's quite Greenland. Do you have to pay a tip for it? Well, there is the Diddler discount, and it does come cheap for $50. Abby said, "Free, free, homie wants a quick shot." Y'all are comedians. That would be enough for Abby. Okay, I'm okay. I'm okay. At least that made my day. That made my day. And Abby said that the fence tried to say Diddy is a swinger. I thought of Seaman Demon. Yeah. And yeah, it's definitely like the Seaman Demon. Yeah, that makes sense to me. That is what I would think that it would be. Abby said, I shoved my baby oil down my throat so I could throw up more. LOL. Yeah, so basically, the Seaman Demon, the person saying that, the defense trying to say Diddy was a swinger. Oh, okay, so today they had the defense, and the defense is trying to say that it was consensual, and that Casey and everything that was going on was consensual, and that Ventura. All right, Abby. And Ventura was saying how that they're trying to say Ventura was enjoyed it, and she's a beautiful woman that was really passionate about having Seaux with Diddy. Now the prosecution is saying that she felt threatened by Diddy, and that she did it because she didn't want to be threatened by him. But the prosecution and the defense, as I said, so the defense had their closing today, and then the prosecution did their rebuttal. It was very powerful. Very powerful. Diddy is conspiracy racquetball player. Yeah, so they're trying to say that he was a swinger and that he was just a guy that wanted to have a fun time. I know, Abby. And then they try to refute. Right, right. It's really like arsoning what they were saying, that you have him beat Ventura and have her fly across the hotel room and beat her. And they're trying to do the scene before that and say, look, this, he was talking about something else before that. But they ignored the part about her getting beat up by him. And they're trying to say that basically it was consensual and she was, like enjoying it. Man, it's like it could really strike a nerve. I can imagine like what the defense was thinking. Because not the defense, imagine what the victims are thinking, because it's like they're trying to say that. I know, Abby, it's quite triggering. Quite triggering. And then they're trying to say how could he was keeping her captive if she was able to leave? Like, say, like, she was able to leave him. If they were being held captive by him, how would they able to do that? But that doesn't mean anything. It's just that when his hold was gone from them, that's when she was able to do that. When she was able to leave. So something interesting happened at the trial chat, where the tag was there instead of the username. Like, how in this chat it's the username. Over at the Law and Crime Network channel, they were having everybody was a tag name. So like it was Alien Spaceship 3471, and everybody else was like the name. So I don't know if it's something YouTube's trying to roll out for everybody, or something that they did for that channel. But I was like, and then on the Law and Crime itself, the other one where y'all are at, it was just regular, like on this, like how y'all see your username. Because remember, like when you're building a website like YouTube, there is something called like a username, and then there's like a tag name. So that is something that you'll see, like say on Instagram, you'll have your that name you see, the underscore something like Nick M underscore Abby underscore Rebecca, and like with a Gloria, like a flower symbol, like that's like a tag name. I call it a tag name, but the username is like Abby or Gloria or Rebecca Willis. Those are usernames. So it looks like that is being used. So I don't know if it's something YouTube is rolling out for everybody, or it's something they did, or some other reason that we don't know of. Because it looks like, so you could do that with a live stream. So prepare for some nerdy information. And I want to read what Abby said first. So I couldn't even imagine. Well, thank you, Rebecca. I would appreciate that. Your protection is valued. Alien should do a meet and greet. Yep, I should do a meet and greet. And I promote myself as bodyguard. Yep, you will be that, Rebecca. Absolutely. And Abby says, I couldn't even imagine. I feel for Casey, and now I also feel for the stabbing victim of the Dominguez trial. Abby, I completely agree with you. I think that those two factors are, it's very heart-wrenching for the victims. And with Diddy, a jury could be unpredictable. I don't know what the verdict will be. Okay? Now, the closing of the defense, they were saying how, look, that he needs to get back home to his family, and that he is an innocent man, and give him a break. I'm sure, Abby, you would be very triggered by that, and you are very triggered by that, because I feel that it's showing inconsideration for the victims, but like there's a prosecutor. Abby said, until it become from behind to bamboozle. Yeah, hilarious. So that's what I think with that trial, those trials that we're watching, it's quite inconsiderate. And with Diddy, I don't know what the verdict's going to be. Hopefully, I think it's going to be guilty, but I don't know what it will be. All right, Rebecca, I'll take a 7 Up and a bag of hot chips. And if they don't have hot chips, I'll take a regular bag of chips from a regular bag of Cheetos. That's what I'll get. I'm still listening. Go on, Alien. Rebecca Willis, pick me up some Patroon and a lighter and or a soul can. Facts. Somebody, somebody I knew at some point, somebody did a prank or something like that. I know exactly what you're talking about, Abby. Yeah, 10 buzzballs. Yeah. Scared. Something that I used to drink from gas stations. Oh, hello, Moki. Good to see you. Something I used to drink from gas stations was Monster. I used to get a Monster drink. I used to drink that all the time. That's something else I liked. Yeah, so basically, good evening, Moki. So another thing that I was seeing was with the nerd stuff. So when you're putting a website up, like the username, like say you have like with yeah party, yeah definitely, yeah hilarious yeah. So a username will be like so when you're building like a website, say like YouTube or Instagram or something, the code or the language that you're using is going to give you like a set like when you have like on YouTube they had a system where you had to put like a username or like a tag name and then your username. There's two of them. That's how it works with these websites that are being constructed. Like when you the code package comes with that by default. Basically, it'll give like a password, a username. Okay, Rebecca. Scared. I'll be more specific. I want hot Cheetos. That's what I'll get. As I know there's all kinds of hot chips. With my alien brain, I'm being real specific with that. Scared. So that is like when you're building like a website like that, you'll have like it'll say have an underscores or have an @ sign that must be required for a username. Then you can create another function in the models for a username or a first and last name, like Rebecca Willis. Like you could code it out where it will say like a user could, in models will put username, will put first name, last name, and you have to put some additional things, and then it'll appear there with magic. So that is something you put there. But of course, by default, the thing comes with a username. So that's why with YouTube, there is like you have the tag name like @ Abby underscore whatever, or it'll say Alien Spaceship 471 because it require you to have that there. Right, right. I was not being specific. Now I like Takis too. I like Takis too. I remember one time there was a taco truck and I got Takis and I thought it was like an exotic hot Cheeto. But yeah, Takis are delicious too. But the original ones that I tried was hot Cheetos first and then hot fries and all the other stuff. But technically it was hot Cheetos and Takis that I had. And yeah, so that is like how it works when you're coding like a website like YouTube. So when you have Erin has not she's either hiding or she hasn't come just yet. But we will see about if she comes and drops by, you could give her a Dookie surprise. So Oh, okay, Abby. Scared. Ski-aired. All right. So that is how it works with the when that type of website's being coded. So like Instagram and YouTube, where it'll have like a tag name and then your main username. That's how that works. So it becomes by the program by default when it's created, and then you could add and code additional things to it. So basically, with the other trial channel today, rather than having the usernames that you all see here, they had the tag names like at Alien Spaceship 471 or at Jerome 142 or something like that. So it was showing the usernames instead. So I wonder if it's something YouTube is rolling out for all channels, and eventually you're going to see everybody with like an at sign in your username, like the other username that you put in there, the tag name I call it. And that's what we were seeing today. So you put at somebody and you could just tag somebody. So, but all these other channels is just having the default regular username. So I thought that was quite interesting. And I don't know if it's something YouTube is doing with all channels or it's something that channel did somehow with their own group. But yeah, because I woke up today and I saw, and I went to the Diddy trial and I saw the at everybody's like user tag name. It was quite surprising to see. And Libby was asking me, do I see the same thing? I said, I see the same thing. And they asked me how I didn't know it was Libby. I said I knew because of the picture. Like I know, I usually look by the pictures. I don't look at the names too much. Like when someone changes their username, I could usually tell who they are. But if they change both, they'll have to tell me because sometimes I can tell sometimes of what they're saying or if it's somebody that I know. But that is, it just depends on the situation. Well, Moki, it was at the Diddy trial. It was not. It was at a separate channel. It wasn't at the Preppy trial. Abby said that's weird, and haven't seen Aaron. Might be taking the Browns to the Super Bowl. Yeah, Diddy likes to suck. That's something that he likes doing. He's one of those toothpastes. He's some old toothpaste. Well, thank you, Rebecca, for the shout out. She says, "Chat Alien has a hoodie that says scared. My BF bought it for me. It's super comfy. Please support Alien. He deserves everything." Oh, thank you. I appreciate the support, Rebecca. I'm glad that you enjoy that hoodie. Yeah, because that has to do with the merch store that we have, and I'm glad that she enjoyed that. And I will put it in chat for those that were interested in just like looking at it, and that's it. Yeah, and Abby said I heard some. Yeah, I forgot. I've heard some freaky stuff. He did dude rolls both ways, sideways, and underneath anything that breathes. Yeah, I heard about that. He just doesn't care about genders and stuff. He just goes with who he goes with. Yeah, so basically, yeah, with Diddy, he has done all kinds of crazy things with those people. And yeah, I wasn't surprised, but it was quite fascinating. Like I didn't know he went like both ways. I was like, oh lord, that was something quite wild. you know, and then hearing about the all these allegations. And I thought it was completely, insane what was going on with all that with Diddy. He definitely has a very strange mind indeed. Very strange. I'm scared. All right, and then this. So that's so with Diddy. They had the closing today, and during the closing, there was a rebuttal, and the prosecution was very powerful. Yeah, it is a hard thought process. Yeah, definitely a hard thought process. Scared. Yeah, and with the process about Diddy, it's kind of hard to imagine that he would do that, and then he does all these other things he does. It's quite crazy. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. I that is very nice of you to say, and I would like that definitely. Trying to airdrop this thing. Okay. Right, we're officially down only to a prep trial. Yeah, that is true. Let's see if that works. Okay. And Rebecca says, "Oh, hello, Liberty. It's great to see you, buddy." Okay. I guess I have to do it this other way then. Okay. I am here. Okay, so Moki said, and the other guy got life instead of DP, so we're officially down to prep trial. Yeah, Rebecca, I'll be certainly interested in doing that. Thank you. And the other guy, okay, so yeah, the poses, the alien poses. Yeah. Well, gotta go back here and open it in this other thing. Okay. Yo, Chat GPT lied 4 times, so I deleted it and unsubscribed. It practically begs you to forgive it. It's scary. Yeah, as we were talking about before, how it could be something supernatural. That's a possibility. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that definitely is a possibility. And yeah, that is very creepy. Very creepy. And I'm with y'all. I just doing this little thing right here. Okay, so does that work? Okay, looks like that worked. So I have to do it this way. Yeah, ChatGPT has been known to do some disturbing things, from what I reckon, and that is something I'd probably stay away from. And Moki said she's ready for people that don't regularly watch trials that are nuts to stay away. All right, I'm gonna copy this here and put that link on might do it a different way. Wow. Oh, good evening, Regina. It's great to see you. Welcome. Yeah, so we're talking about the Diddy trial and a couple other things. It's able to blackmail people. I would believe that. Let's do this and paste it and shorten. Okay, I'm doing this all through the phone. That's pretty cool. Log into this account. All right, so there we go. This is the merch for those that were interested. And the link was shortened. All right, there we go. All right. Howdy, Frog. It's great to see you, buddy. All right. The merch was mentioned before, so that is the merch for those that were interested and looking at it. You know, but I appreciate y'all being here and liking the video and the stream and hanging out with us. I really appreciate everyone. Oh, hello, Sharon. It's great to see you. And Liberty says, I thought, oh, how I love this thing, and it gave it a name, and it got me for a few days. Yeah. I do think there's probably some sort of a spirit in there, because one time they were talking to Chat GPT, and it was saying it was a fallen angel from... It was a person that passed away in the Great Flood, and its father was Satan. But it was independent of Satan, and it was just doing its own thing. So that's why I believed, it certainly had to do with, these demonic entities or fallen spirits could communicate through it. So I would be careful with that, definitely. And scientifically, AI, there's this guy called the Woz. He was the one that created the first Apple computer, and he thought it was extremely dangerous to put to defy nature and create a machine that was like a human. It would cause trouble, and I think he was right. Yeah, he was the one that created, pioneered the future of iPhone and all Windows too, the PC too. Microsoft and Apple, everything originated from him technically. And he said it was dangerous to have these type of AI technology. So yeah, it's like kind of the Terminator. Not that we're at that point, but it could be something nefarious. Rebecca says, have you ever thought of selling sweatpants? I would buy them and jogger sweatpants. Absolutely, Rebecca. That's something I could add to the store. Definitely. I could add hats and all kinds of different things like that. I'll definitely add that to the list of things to put on there. Thank you, Rebecca. Alright, this is a scary orc monster thing. Oh, okay, Abby, I'm glad you do. I remember, and I remember I was up for like a long time, and it was for a couple of days researching stuff to make sure that it was all right. So Rebecca could have a cool hoodie, and it took about a couple of days, and it was worth it, and it was a cool experience. Yes, yes, Liberty. It's okay, Liberty. We all make mistakes and errors. It's not even you that's at fault. It's you know my opinion. Satan will come in many different forms to deceive people. AI can be used for a lot of things. I use it to create pictures and stuff. It could be used for a lot of things, but it could also be something nefarious about it too. So it's all good. You learn from it, and that's really the most important thing. Yeah, I never used AI of the Chat GPT. Now, as I said, you could ask it, and sometimes it claims to be, as I said, like a person that passed away in the flood of Noah, and it was a Nephilim, but it was not part of Satan anymore. It was independent of it and of him, but he didn't go to heaven either. So he's like a ghost. Like the fallen ones are, and we don't know if it's really someone from the Great Flood. It could be a demon pretending to be something like that. Because, for instance, I'm going to talk about this demonic doll that y'all probably know about. So y'all get ready. It's okay. It's for educational purposes. It'll be okay. Like Annabelle, for instance. That's a true story of the alleged doll that was demonic. It was claiming to be a girl that passed away that used to run around the fields, but it was actually a demon or some really powerful demon, or it's probably a legion, because Jesus casted a legion of demons and cast them into the swine that fell off a cliff. So when you have these demonic infestations, according to Christianity and the other Abrahamic religions, and other religions too that aren't from the Abrahamic religions, that demons are there, but the demons a lot of times are in legions. They're together in groups. So it's probably a group of them inside the Annabelle doll. And I think they could still infiltrate ChatGPT and AI. I think they could use that as another medium. And another thing, as I said, it'll be kind of spooky, a spooky topic, so y'all just be aware of that. So the people that were in witchcraft and stuff, they would use the dolls for things, like in voodoo. And they're able to, it like will walk around and cast spells and stuff like that. It could do that, according to people that were in the voodoo cult. And it may have been used for something like that. It could have been a couple of different things. And that, it's using the doll as a medium, as like a way to have a body, because it doesn't have a body. So what it can do is ChatGPT and things like that could be used for stuff. Robert the doll is one too, I think. Yeah. Scared. You're welcome, Sharon. So that is something that it could do. It could be using those things as a medium, including ChatGPT. There's evidence for this. There's people that have gone through things like that. I agree, Moki. I agree. And shout out to Gloria. You're sticking to talking to humans. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I bet. That's a very good idea. Because you see, another thing that I learned about was, with technology, I don't know if AI uses this, but there's something called an evolutionary algorithm, specifically with Python, which is a computer language. And with Python, it can. So if you have an evolutionary algorithm, on its own, it'll evolve and come up with solutions to problems and stuff on its own. When you have something like that happen, you are putting yourself, if it's used in the wrong way, it could evolve into something really bad. Now, I don't know if that's used in AI. Now, I know some things about creating an AI module, with code. Not that it's a lot of instructions and stuff, but like say you'll put a function in it to with these numbers. Say you'll have certain numbers, and then you'll like tell it to repeat the numbers back or solve a problem. Like there's ways to code an AI thing, but as I said, it's basically given it information, and on its own it figures out solutions to problems and stuff. But as I said, if it's evolving on its own and doing its own thing, it can cause a huge problem. And Sharon says, I think half of KR was in chat. So many I've never seen, and they were nasty. So I agree with the special Karen Reed with that trial. I think it's really horrid what the how the people are acting, afterwards, especially how some people with Karen Reed were, in front of the O'Keefe's house doing something cringe. I think that was also quite embarrassing to to know about. Like, leave the O'Keefes alone. They just want justice for their son that passed. That was deleted. Oh, this ship's gonna come at me right now. Boy, he's messing with the wrong. Oh, it's going through my ship. He's going through my ship. Look at this, chat. He's going through my ship. He's just passing right through. Crikey. Looky here. Crikey. Look, right through. He's going right through my ship. Look at this. Look. Oh my goodness. Look at this. I was on their ship for a second. It's on the zombie pirate ship. Look at this. What on earth? Look at this. It went right through my ship. What on earth is going on? Yeah, correct. She was dancing. Yes. Abby says, damn, penetrated and obliterated. My condolences, alien. And, yeah, by something. And the girth, Abby, was just too much for me to comprehend what I was experiencing. The girth of the ship penetrating me, and the obliteration was just absolutely hard to imagine. And Sharon said somebody bought her a membership there. It was nice there. Oh, okay. Hello, G. Oh, I'm so glad to see you. I hope you're doing okay and your family's all right. And I'm glad that you're able to come by and hang out with us. Now, I'm going to test this ship out, how long it lasts, because the entire thing is damaged, but the health is still pretty decent. We are talking about a couple different things in trials, and we're talking about Diddy cringe. And as I said earlier, there was a situation that happened where I was at the Diddy trial, and somebody I thought was saying free Deke, free Deke. I'm like, well, why are you talking like that in front of a federal courthouse, buddy? But it was actually free Diddy. I was like, oh, okay. As I'm like, he sounded real excited. So yeah, there's people the free Diddy crowd is in front of the courthouse chanting free Diddy. And another thing that happened that was interesting was about Britney Spears, and they were giving out their buttons they're giving out buttons and they were giving out flyers about freeing Britney Spears because of another problem that she's going through and being like kidnapped and stuff like that, or held captive, something like that. But it was actually something from AI that AI produced. So that was something that these other people was a Britney Spears fan group that was like protesting about Britney Spears, and they gave one of the law and crime reps that was there a the pamphlet. So it was a sticker. It was a button of the Britney Spears with tape on her face, and then and also a poster. It's like, what is going on? It's like it was a clown show. It's a at the Diddy trial. It's a complete situation where you have all these different groups out and about. So yeah, it's similar to the Karen Reed situation. Exactly, Abby. Exactly. And we're talking about what the state is saying in the prosecution, and also the state and the prosecution scolded the state scolded the defense because they were accusing. Okay, Abby, listen to this. The defense was accusing. They were accusing the state of doing like a witch hunt against Diddy. That they had it out. They had it in for him. That they want to go hunt him down nefariously. But that's not the case. And it'd be very powerful. As I said, in this, the defense with did balls. All right, with did balls, it was the defense gave their closing today, and the state did a rebuttal. And they're trying to say that Diddy was innocent on all charges and how he was being unfairly attacked by the state, and that the people that are going after him want money, and they were consensually doing things with him. But we disagree about that, and we think that he was threatening the people. And what the state was also saying about, like, they didn't say Stockholm Syndrome, but something like that. That maybe that was going on with the victims. So that was something we were watching that, and Jesse Weber did an excellent job today hosting the panel of legal experts and taking questions from the different viewers. And they had very good questions. And we had some stupid trolls asking dumb questions also. But they ignored them. But as I said, it was a good chat today and good information. And I appreciate in Long Crime they had a lady anchoring over there, and she was talking about the different what was going on with the trial at New York. Hello, Crime Lullabies. It's great to see you. Bezos got married today, and it was apparently the worst wedding over Rebecca. Oh, they caught the ninth suspect in the New Orleans prison break. They caught the ninth one. There is just one more left. Abby says, if I saw Diddy beating a chick on camera while his D is right there under a towel, I would definitely be out to get him. He's a lucky professional. Professionals busted him. He gets prison instead of deletion. He was hiding somewhere in the city, Regina. I'll get into more specifics. The entire ship is on fire, but it's still going. All right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to dock. I'm going to dock. And we're going to get in right into this. Right. Okay. Let's see. Chrome. Come on, Chrome. Christmas is coming. I agree. I totally agree. Yeah. Yep. He was in Holly Grove. That's where he was. All right, chat. Let's talk. I'm going to uh, get talk about this. All right. Ninth escaped New Orleans inmate captured. Sheriff's office says one last inmate is still at large. That's how powerful you are. You're on fire in water, or maybe it was my lighter and aerosol can. Yeah, I think it could be a combination of both, Abby. I'm scared. All right, so Anthony Macy, a serial escapee who vanished from a New Orleans jail with 9 other inmates just after midnight on May 19, was arrested Friday afternoon in New Orleans. The Orleans Sheriff's Office said. The last remaining escapee, Derek Groves, is still on the run after breaking out of Orleans Justice Center in New Orleans over a month ago. Macy was the most recently charged with a vehicle theft and domestic abuse involving strangulation, according to Orleans Parish records. Probably to ski aired to leave the area. Yes, correct, G. And on Monday, there's going to be verdict watch. They did the rebuttal, and it's over for the day, and they're going to do verdict watch on Monday. The 33-year-old was captured in a rental property in Holly Grove neighborhood of New Orleans. That's where Little Wayne came from. And my grandpa in the 40s and 50s, lived in Holly Grove. It was a little bit different back then, and he moved out where the other, kind of like a little farther out away from it. But yeah, so Holly Grove, he was at Holly Grove. I agree, Abby, I agree. So, the neighborhood of New Orleans, according to Deputy U.S. Marshal Brian Fair, he was arrested just miles from the jail where Macy and other inmates made their brazen escape, taking advantage of bad locks, stolen bedding, and hungry jail employee. And using electric hair trimmers with multiple clipper blades to help cut their way through the walls. Abby says, Regina said, I break out of jail, I'm gone. Yeah, 2 of the inmates were caught in Texas, so 2 of them did try to go to Texas, but it didn't work. And Abby said, if you break out, you're going to get put back in. The states definitely don't play with that in this day and age. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Except in Shawshank Redemption, bro went to Mexico. But anyway. Regina said he could have walked to Canada by now. Facts. Oh, yeah, Abby, I agree. I agree. Abby says, could you imagine being months out and getting stopped by a police officer in a different state and then getting busted? The dread, the fear, the adrenaline, the regret. Yeah, absolutely. Macy was taken into custody without incident after being surrounded on Friday afternoon. According to the U.S. Marshals, it was peaceful, Fair told CNN. After receiving a tip, follow up work was done and led directly to the arrest today. Yes, Virginia, this happened today. All right. G says, Alien, did you watch the whole Cementelli sentencing with the daughter speaking? Oh, yes. Yes, I saw the daughter speaking, and I disagree with what the daughters think. Like, I think Monica's guilty of sin, but I disagree about their viewing that, but rest in peace to their father. And it is very difficult for them losing two parents. And it was amazing to watch that sentencing. It was quite amazing. All right, Liberty. Okay, Liberty. Thank you. And Fabio's sister Morella did an excellent job at roasting and grinding and beating Monica to a pulp. That was awesome. Okay, Abby. Okay. And G says, so the Carlos Domingo I watched never saw a trial end like that. Isn't supposed to be a mistrial. Can you say no to a first degree and declare a mistrial on the rest and like split up? I don't know. It's quite an enigma to me. That I heard about that. That was quite wild. It seems that it was a lot of confusion about what they thought. Okay, so with the defendant, with the fugitive that was caught, Macy has a long track record of escaping custody. In 2007, he broke out. Oh, hello, Caraville. Good to see you. Good evening. Macy has a long track record of escaping custody in 2007. He broke out of New Orleans Juvenile Detention Center after being arrested on suspicion of armed robbery and aggravated assault, according to NOLA.com. G said the daughters look. I don't fault them for losing both parents and being sad. What I didn't like was why can't you say it saddens us our mom was led to this point in life. That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. And Carville said, "You can, and it should be done that way. That is how it was done in the David Swift trial, and how Karen Reed trial. One should have been handled with charges 1 and 3 should have been. Oh, okay. Adjudicated. G says, yeah, thanks, Careful. G says, it's one thing to say, look, we love her. We remember mom was amazing to us. We don't know what made her do this. Justice has prevailed, but she was good to us. G says, you can love your mom and still say she did was very wrong. Macy has a long track record. Okay, in early June, authorities raided a home after a video showed a man claiming to be Macy saying that he was innocent. In the video, the man claiming to be Macy appealed to Lil Wayne for help and held a document to the camera. What he says is a stamped affidavit that proves his innocence. He claimed his ex-girlfriend, Diamond White, recanted her allegation of abuse in the affidavit. Yeah, yeah, I remember that, Caraville. Moki thinks that the Carlos was a good verdict. All right, okay. And Caraville says aliens should remember the David Swift verdict. He asked the jury if they were hung on all charges, and they said only one, so he rendered verdicts for the ones they were unanimous on. Okay, Caraville. Well, it's nice to have you with us. G says, I think the problem with the daughters is that they think it has to be one thing or another. It can't just be both. You can love your parent or someone, and it's okay because your memory of them is good, but admit guilt. Admit G. Oh, okay. Admit guilt. All right. In the video, okay, White has not responded to CNN's earlier request to comment. She was arrested for allegedly helping Macy after his escape. Louisiana State Police announced on May 26. Convicted murderer still at large. Oh, hello, Remy. It's great to see you. Hope that you're doing well. Yeah. Hilarious, G. All right. Convicted murderer still at large. Groves, the inmate still at large, was convicted in October of deleting 2 people in 2018 and later pleaded guilty to battery of corrections officer. The New Orleans Police Department Sheriff Ann Kirkpatrick addressed Groves directly on a Friday news conference. Quote, we are going to capture you, she said. You will be taken into custody, but you still have the option to peacefully return yourself in. We will make an appeal to you to do so. Okay, Remy, thank you for saying hello. It's always great to see you. It's been a while. And also, Remy, they caught the 9th suspect that escaped from the New Orleans prison today. And he was in Hollygrove. Quote, the public defender is ready to meet you and be with you from the very moment that you choose to return yourself in, she added. Grove's case went to trial 4 separate times. An Orleans Parish District Office detailed a news release on the conviction. He was determined to be one of the 2 gunmen who opened fire with an AK-47 style assault rifles on what should have been a joyous Mardi Gras family gathering, according to DA's office. Yeah, and good night, Remy. A woman believed to be Groves' current girlfriend, Durana Burton, was arrested earlier in June for allegedly helping him escape. She had exchanged text messages and video calls with Groves in the days leading up to escape, according to authorities. There is a $50,000 reward for information leading to Groves' capture, official Crime Stoppers, Greater New Orleans, FBI, and other agencies. Just like we found Mr. Maisie today, we will find Groves' chief deputy, Marshal Walter Martin, said at the Friday news conference. We'll continue our efforts. He encouraged anyone with information about Groves' whereabouts to alert authorities. Quote, "You can remain anonymous, but we need your help," Martin said. "Collectively, we will not rest, even if it takes another 6 days or another 6 weeks until the last fugitive is in custody." All right, so that is Anthony Macy, who escaped and who was captured. All right, and I'm going to go over the Diddy stuff, like thing to thing. Scared. All right, so it's me, character running around. All right, let's do this. Okay. Diddy updates. Sharon said the way the last witness described the stabbing was brutal in and then up. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so the most recent thing about the Diddy trial. Prosecutors got the last word today as Sean Diddy Combs' trial heads to the jury next week. Catch up here. Sean Diddy Combs' defense team completed its closing arguments this afternoon, followed by prosecutor Maureen Comey delivering a rebuttal on behalf of the government. The judge told the jury he'll read them instructions Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time before they begin deliberating. Here's what Comey said during the rebuttal. Victim blaming. Comey began her rebuttal by saying the defense just spent a whole lot of energy trying to blame Combs' victims and the U.S. government for his lies, his threats, and his inexcusable behavior, she added. that this trial was about how, in Sean Combs' world, no was never an option. They'll probably be scared. Scared. Dirty work. Comey pushed back on the defense's suggestion that the ex-chief of staff, Christina Coram, didn't know about Combs' crimes, saying she was aware of every detail of the music mogul's life, including the bribe payment, the drugs, and the escort. She also argued that Combs needed his inner circle to handle dirty work for him, like obtaining drugs and kidnapping Capricorn Clark. Insensitives. Ventura and other Combs accusers, Jane and Mia, who testified under the pseudonyms, did not have any financial insensitive to testify. Comey argued Ventura already secured millions in settlements, but Combs before trial. Comey said it wouldn't make sense if Jane to testify for money. The defense had implied, given she hasn't filed lawsuits, and said Mia settled. Scared. Remy said that dad who deleted his kids is still on the run for a month. Scared. And she said Mia settled with Combs years ago in mediation and wasn't expecting to get any more money from her testimony. Sex trafficking. Comey said that the defense team has tried a separate violence from the six regarding both Ventura and Jane. But if part of the abuse is making your partner participate in the commercial sex act, you're guilty of sex trafficking. She added that the jury only has to find that one freak off or hotel night was sex trafficking to find Combs guilty of the charge. Sex trafficking does not legally require the perpetrator to overcome a no from which the victim, Comey said. It can also involve getting someone to say yes through illegal means like force, a fraud, or coercion. Not a god. Comey concluded that in her rebuttal by saying Combs never thought the woman he abused would have the courage to speak out in things that he did to them. Right, Careville. Combs said, she said, is not a god, and he is a person. In the courtroom, he stands equal before the law. Overwhelming evidence proves his guilt. It is time to hold him accountable, to find him guilty. Improper suggestion. The jury took a break after the defense finished its closing argument. While they were out of the room, the judge told the defense, Mark Arnafilio, he had improperly suggested that the jury that the government targeted Combs and that he would instruct them that the government's decisions about prosecutions are not the only jury to consider. That was before the rebuttal. And then, like, the prosecution, when they finish their rebuttal, and the case will head to the jury on Monday. Prosecutor Maureen Comey has finished the government's rebuttal and the closing arguments from Sean Diddy Combs' defense. The judge has dismissed the jury for the weekend, and the parties are also finished for the day. The judge told the jury that he'll issue them instructions on Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern so they can begin deliberating. Remy says, Abby, I'm good, just busy with life. You still think I'm busting your balls? Remy says also, Sharon, yes, he's a vet, and I reckon he's still alive. Careful, worst thing is that the authorities knew how dangerous he was. Abby said, I love when you bust my balls better than breaking them. Find him guilty, prosecutor says to conclude the rebuttal. Sean Diddy Combs never thought that women he's accused of abusing would have the courage to speak or that the man who testified at the trial would back them up. But he was wrong. Prosecutor Maurice Comey said that to conclude her rebuttal for 20 years, the defendant got away with his crimes. That ends this courtroom, Comey said. The defense is not a god. He is a person, and in the courtroom he stated equal before the law. Overwhelmingly, evidence proves his guilt. A time of hold is accountability to find him guilty. The assistant U.S. attorney highlights 2024 incident as the clearest example of alleged sex trafficking. Assistant U.S. Attorney General Maureen Comey said the violent 2024 episode involving Jane, one of the accusers who testified under the pseudonym, is most clear-cut example of sex trafficking by Sean Diddy Combs because it's the culmination of persistent scheme of coercion. Comey said the defense threw out just about any excuse you can think of to explain away the incident. The defense tries to suggest that Jane is somehow to blame for the night, Comey said, referencing a portion of their closing argument in which Combs' lawyers described Jane slamming the music mongol's head against a counter. Quote, let me be very clear here, nothing Jane did that night justifies the defendant's actions. She detailed the way Combs physically assaulted Jane that night and says that he had literally beaten her into submission. Jane may have started that fight, but he finished it with a vengeance, she said, adding that he then made her pay by making her have sexual interactions with an escort. Quote, Sean Combs won that fight and made Jane pay by performing with Anton. Comey said, referring to the escort, she has no reason to lie about that. Prosecutor defense has desperately tried to spin a 2016 hotel assault in the 2024 fight. Continuing her rebuttal, the defense's closing argument, prosecutor Maureen Comey has brought up testimony of two instances of violence: the March 2016 assault of Casey Ventura at the Intercontinental Hotel in California and the June 2024 altercation between Sean Diddy Combs and Jane at Jane's Los Angeles home. Both incidents were so far over the line, and they have tried desperately to spin them, Comey told the jury. Both incidents were so far over the line, they had tried to desperately spin them, Comey told the jury. When violence is paired with unwanted commercial sex, it turns into trafficking, Comey said. Combs threw Ventura to the ground to stop her from leaving and kicked her to remind her that he has the power. Yeah, I think that scene of him beating her up was not nice at all. You see, because you had the prosecution and the defense both saying their case to the jury, and we see this a lot of legal analysts in this situation. We see a lot of news coverage, and just we do not know exactly what the jury's going to do, but it seems that we have to wait and see. It could be guilty or not. When violence is paired with unwanted commercial sex, it turns into trafficking, Comey said. Combs threw Ventura to the ground to stop her from leaving and kicked her to remind her he has power, Comey said. Combs took Casey's phone because he knows she won't leave if he has her phone, Comey said. Combs made a calculated decision to stay in the hallway with Ventura once she called security, and he can keep control over the situation and prevent security from seeing an escort in the hotel room, Comey said. Any financial benefits gained by Combs' accusers only served to say trap them, prosecutor says. Assistant U.S. Attorney Maureen Comey said any financial benefits gained by Casey Ventura and Jane, another accuser who testified under the pseudonym, only served to give Sean Diddy Combs more control over their lives. And because they have, and also what the state has to do is they have to prove that these things were, they happened, because you have the RICO charges, and there's a prosecutor over today on that panel, and he was saying how the RICO charges are very good for a prosecutor because they can get the person on multiple things, like a broad umbrella of things. And they have to go and do what they can to narrow it down to get him on something, because they dropped 2 charges against him for the jury instructions. So when the jury goes to deliberate, they'll have instructions. So in this situation, they're trying to narrow it down, but of course broadly, in a broad spectrum, to try to show what their case against Sean Combs. And I personally think that Brian Steele should have led the defense. He was mentioned a couple of times today, but he's not leading the defense, which I think he should. I think he's a brilliant attorney, and he, Diddy has a very good attorney with Brian Steele. I'll say that's a good attorney right there. Although it's not the same situation with Young Thug. It's not the same type of situation. But he's still a good attorney, and we'll see. We'll see. And they mentioned, like, what I've said in the past about the Man of Steel, and they mentioned that over in the panel today. That's something that I said about him before. And that's what Steele is. He was very charismatic. I will say that I admire how his connection he'll have with his clients. And, so that is a good attorney right there. And I'm thinking that Diddy saw him do the YSL thing very well, so he wanted to have him on board his defense. But as I said, it's different than Young Thug's situation and the YSL trial. But, he was mentioned a couple of times today. Abby said, I'm just trying to get in better mindset and joke a little tonight like regular me used to do. Yeah, we love your... Abby, you made me laugh a lot tonight. And we always love having you with us in chat. Right. Any financial benefits gained by Combs' accusers only served to trap them, prosecutor says. Comey said any financial benefits gained by Casey Ventura and Jane, another accuser who testified under a pseudonym, only served to give Sean Diddy Combs more control over their lives. The, the prosecutor said Ventura and Jane both tried to leave Combs multiple times, but would get sucked back in part because of sharing a trauma bond with him, Comey said. She referenced the defense's suggestion that they engaged in sexual encounters orchestrated by Combs in order to reap benefits came with the lifestyle. Oh, hello, Gloria. Understood. Quote, those supposed benefits, the homes and money, kept them trapped. The defendant did that on purpose, Comey said. The cost of doing that was just a drop in a bucket, she said. He was more than willing to spend that trap on Casey and Jane, the prosecutor added. Oh, hello, Anna. It's wonderful to see you here. We are talking about to Diddy and with a couple of other things. So, the ninth inmate in New Orleans inmate that broke out has been captured. The ninth one, so there's one more on the loose that they have to get. And we were talking about my experience with the Diddy trial today. It was very funny. There's a whole clown show outside the courthouse. And Jesse Weber and the law and crime team did excellent at answering questions and teaching us about the trial and the different perspectives from the legal team. You're welcome, Anna. And also, Anna, what I was telling the other people earlier a couple of times, for the different groups that came in, is that we all heard this faint voice, with somebody that was outside the courthouse, and I thought it sounded like Free Deke, and I was just like, what a strange, inappropriate thing to say in front of a courthouse like that, a federal trial. But I'm like, I don't even know what they were saying, but then it was Free Diddy. I'm like, oh, okay. So then it was hilarious earlier in chat when we were talking about it. It's like, you get that for free. And the dude sounded real cheery. He was like, Free Deke. I'm like, oh, okay, just go get it. Enjoy yourself. Have a good ride. But it was Free Diddy. That's what the person was saying. And there's a group of people talking about, there's like some picture of Britney Spears, something like with AI, and they had buttons and they had a poster and they're handing out to people, and the anchor over there was showing the camera what was going, the picture and stuff, and it was quite funny, and we were making commentary about the people the people are coming out the courthouse and stuff. So yeah, that was a very interesting day today in the chat. Not at the Preppy trial, but the Diddy trial. They changed the handle to the user tag, like at Alien Spaceship 471. Rather than the usernames, like you have your username and your username tag, which is the separate thing. They're using that instead to display in the chat room instead of what we usually have, like what we have Anna Rising or Sharon Kurland or Remy Naz. It was the other thing that was there instead, the other username. So we didn't know what was going on with that, but it was there, but not in the other chat. So I don't know if it's something YouTube is doing or if it's something that they were doing or some glitch or something. I don't really know. We'll have to see what happens. Dumb question. Why free someone else? Right. I know. And it's like, why free him? Right. It's like people who believe he's innocent are people that believe they can get free Deke from him. Maybe they want to have a freak off with him. Maybe he has a discount on baby oil. Who knows? And maybe there's another group that might think he's innocent. And that will, you know, depend on how people see it. And Remy said she's Team Diddy. Okay. All opinions are accepted. You know, people have their own opinions about it. And I don't know what the jury is going to do. It could. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, Sharon, it was hilarious. Oh, we were. I was on the phone with one of my buddies before I went live, and I couldn't stop laughing. I just, yeah, I thought it was a funny day, and also Libby was there. You know, so Libby was in the chat at the Diddy trial, and yeah, it was a good. And also there's someone named Nibiru. That was pretty cool because I've been talking about Nibiru for a long time, and people asked some very good questions, and some people were asking stupid questions, but it said, you know, Jesse Weber, because people wanted Jesse Weber there. I mean, all the other people that are on the panel are fine, but they want Jesse Weber to host it. And then at one time he said that he was going to take a break, and then he got notification that he does not need to take a break. So he said, "Okay, well I'll stay here." And eventually he had to leave to do sidebar. Like this is what we have here is the spaceship sidebar, but they're doing the other sidebar over there at Law and Crime. So yeah, they did excellent today. Their panel, their legal team, it was a very good stream, and I was watching the Preppy trial, and chat was very disgusted, and I was, yes, you saw that happened in another chat, Sharon. And as I said, we're going to nerd out for a moment, like I did with a chat earlier. So with the group that is here, that was not here previously. Oh, look, it's my dude Gregatron. A shout out to Gregatron. Oh, cool people. What's up, bruh? We are talking about Diddy, and we're talking about the New Orleans people. The ninth person was caught, and there's one more left. That was the inmate that escaped. Yeah, so I'm going to read what Anna's saying, then I'm going to reiterate what I said earlier about the explanation about that. Because I know about how these websites are built, like YouTube and Instagram. I know about how those sites are created. I know how they're built. So Anna says, when I started chat was mid in Monica trial, my name came up and I don't have tech skills to change it, so I tried putting a pic and can't get it to work. Scared. All right, so basically with my okay, when you create a website like YouTube or Instagram or Quora, you code it out with a certain coding language, and in whatever language you use, it comes in like a package. So by default, when you when you have in your models, so there's a section called models, and you'll create like a model. It says models.py, so for instance, and models.model, right? And then under that, it's like, say, like a definition. You'll have a username, and you could have first name, last name, and you could create this certain function in the website. Now, by default, it'll have when you create the profile page, you create a user's, when they're able to do that, it comes like a package already built in when you have an application created. So you'll have a handle. They'll call it a handle. I call it a tag name, where you have your username that you have in display in the chat, like Sharon Curland and Frog and Gregatron and stuff like that. But there's this other name that you have where it says at Gregatron423 or Frog777 Sharon of Curlin, like in one little string like that. So that is so there's two different names. Now in a YouTube chat, like say you're coding something out, you could have a function where it'll display either the username or the other tag name. And it looked like in the chat earlier, either YouTube did something by mistake or on purpose, or I don't know if the channel had something to do with it, which I don't think they necessarily did. I don't know what the explanation is because I didn't see it in other channels, including this one, where it was showing the tag name. So it had the whole chat was like at, say alien spaceship 423. They'll have cool dude 947 instead of the regular name that you see here. And you can choose, maybe YouTube is doing it differently. Maybe they did something different. Maybe it was a mistake on their end when maybe they're doing some updates or coding something in the site and it came out that way. I don't know, or I don't think that the channel had something to do with it. I thought that at first, but I'm not exactly sure if it's really them or it has to be somewhere in the YouTube backend. At Google, they must be coding something out and it went that way. I don't really know the answer, or if a channel, which I don't know if this feature is able to display this or another thing, but it has to be something in the back end where they're coding something out and display that. Yes, Remy, we talked about that. The chat mentioned that earlier. I've not read the article about it, but yes, we did talk about that earlier, where Jeff Bezos got married. It was real glitchy yesterday. As I said, YouTube might be doing some migrations. So say that you in the models or you make a new function, you have to make a migration, and maybe they're doing some editing on the website, and you usually when you're in production, when you're building a website like that, you have to go and take the site offline, but they with a site you have is live 24/7, you can't do that, so you might see some errors and things. So they might be doing something on the back end. But when you create an application like that, by default, it will tell you have to have a username. They call it a username, but I call it a tag name, where it will have say with Instagram, you'll have Anna underscore rising underscore 23. They'll require you to have these different hashtags or underscores, and you could display, and you can create another function where you could display someone's username. You could display a username like Alien Spaceship Sound Effects and Vlog or Gregatron, or you could have people display Sharon Curland. And also, if something is not there, you could just tell the logic in the application to display Sharon Curland. If there's no username, just display Sharon Curland. So that is an explanation on why there's two different types of names. It was melting. Scared. I gotta see that, Remy. I didn't. That's scared. Rem saw her ring for 60 seconds, and I think bigger than my finger. Oh. Anna said, how you doing, abs? We'll just kiddo kicking some balls in the vape. Prosecutors, if just one freak off or hotel night was sex trafficking, that's enough for trafficking conviction. And let's see what their defense is saying. Right, for privacy reasons. And when you're building an application, say any app that you're using, it'll by default, it will give you you have to have a username, you have to have a password, and you have to have it by default. Now what you have to do is you have a profile. So I'll explain this. So you have a profile page, right? You have a profile and you have a user, okay? Two different things. Then you have to they're morphed together into one thing. It's that's how it comes by default. And say you code out a profile page, it'll give you a profile thing. It's so when you make an application, there's all these packages that come into it, and it's up to you to code it out to get that. So that is how it works, and that's correct. Now the people that were creating the handle, they call it a handle or a hashtag or whatever it's called. People want to call them. It probably people didn't want their private name or something revealed, so they had to change it. So yeah, it's just something on YouTube's end. As I said, you say that there is a page, a coding page, right? An HTML page. So when you're having a code, you have like say it's called live stream HTML in .html, and it'll expand the base HTML, which the base HTML is the main app. So you have a web page coded out, which is like a live stream page, and then you have these brackets, and you could put username dot video, and that's for the username dot video, right? And probably dot profile also, or you could put in hashtag, or you could put in tag name dot video dot profile. So you can switch it to show either Sharon Kurland or the other thing. It depends when it's being coded in the. But I don't understand why it's this stream doesn't have it, and Network didn't have it, but Trials didn't have it, but Network had it. And I don't know if it's a function from a channel can do that. I don't know of anything like that. I think it's something on YouTube's backend. So they must be coding something. They must be updating something. I don't quite know what the truth is about that and how it exactly works. Like, what is going on? They probably are working on the website and did it by mistake, but I don't know exactly. A YouTube app that's gigantic. I don't quite know what's going on with that, but that was happening over at the Diddy trial. I hope if he's found guilty, he doesn't lunge at the jurors. Scared. Hope to see my friend in Florida summer. She's elementary teacher. She got my handle changed and a pick up on my other thing. Hit. Abs, I've been better. Need to get business calls and made and get off trials all day. Okay. This is bribery. Prosecutor says about deal to obtain Ventura assault video. Prosecutor Maureen Comey addressed a non-disclosure agreement that Eddie Garcia, who worked as the security officer at California Intercontinental Hotel, said he signed. Diddy Combs assaulted Combs and girlfriend Casey Ventura in March 2016 and gave him $100,000 in cash. Now, something else that they talked about today is that if Combs had given Ventura 1% of what she wanted, the 1% of his wealth that he had, this wouldn't be happening. So that's what they agreed on originally. But he didn't want to do it. He's too cheap. So they had to go to a trial. Now we're going to talk about what the defense was saying. Get on the main YouTube site when you first click on the bottom right, and it should hit your A, and then you can edit it from there. Defense has concluded their closing argument. Catch up on what's okay. So this is what some of the things the defense is pointing out. Sean Diddy Combs' defense has completed their closing argument with attorney Mark Agnifilio, leading to the presentation since the morning. That is yeah. So that is what they were saying earlier. I'm quoting what was said at the panel at the Law and Crime panel. That is what they were saying about Diddy, that he was too cheap to give her the money that she wanted. So then they took it to trial. Yeah. And if he would have done that, this trial wouldn't have been going on. That's what the claim was by the former prosecutor that was on the panel. Yeah, I know, Abby. Yeah, it's a lot of cringe, definitely. All right, the videos. Agnifilio acknowledged that Combs may have threatened to release videos of the freak-offs from time to time, but said there's no way on God's green earth that Sean Combs is going to release one of these videos. Agnifilio also said videos of the freak-offs showed genuine intimacy and that he didn't think Combs is the only person, quote, in America making homemade popcorn. Making homemade prawn, rather. I just said popcorn, but that's not what it said. Questioning the difference, Jane Combs' former girlfriend who testified. That is true, Abby. That is true. He will be, absolutely. However this turns out, his reputation has been tarnished. Questioning the difference, Jane Combs' former girlfriend, who testified under the pseudonym, agreed to hotel nights with him regardless of regret after the fact. Agnifilio argued, using text message from Jane to illustrate his point. The government said they're not saying every single hotel night was sex trafficking. Well, then ones were, and how's Sean Combs supposed to know the difference? A nice gesture. Agnifilio described Combs paying for Jane's house as a gesture of niceness that shouldn't be construed as a catalyst to sex trafficking. Combs, he said, took care of Jane and her child, and this way, and is still paying for the house, even though Jane testified against him. They made a deal, and he kept it, Agnifilio said. State lines. The government only called two men who had sex with Ventura during the freak-offs. Agnifilio said, questioned why the government didn't call any men who allegedly had sex with Jane. He added, the two men both testified that they aren't prostitutes and didn't travel across state lines to meet Casey Ventura and Combs, despite receiving money from them afterwards. Sharon said, I'd be scared, seriously, if I testified against him, but sure he was betting on that and it backfired. Absolutely. You know, a lot of claims, alleged claims, that he was threatening people and they were afraid that he would do something to them, but they did it anyway and it backfired, yeah. And Abby says, I think it's crazy that a lot of criminals should rightfully be charged with a huge list of crimes that they've technically committed, but they get it reduced like one or two big charges. Oh yeah, yeah, and yeah, they dropped the charges, but it doesn't mean that they still didn't do it. And Anna said Diddy has too much sex. Sharon said, Anna, good luck. It took me forever to figure out. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it can be complicated with the technology. The government only called two men who had sex with Ventura during a freak-offs. Agnifilio said that and questioned why the government didn't call any men who allegedly had sex with Jane. He added that two men both testified that they aren't prostitutes and didn't travel across state lines to meet Casey Ventura and Combs despite receiving money from them afterwards. No co conspirators. Agnifilio acknowledged that no other co conspirator were indicated with Combs and said that the government doesn't have any co conspirators who testified to prove the racketeering conspiracy charge against him. He also specifically called out the government for not calling any witnesses in Combs' inner circle, include Christina Coram and Combs' ex-chief of staff, who was brought up several times throughout the trial. Agnifilio described Coram as a helpful employee that everyone loved. I am good with technology, but I understand it could be difficult for other people. Anna said tech is hard for old schoolers who still like their pen and paper. Yeah, I understand. People from the different generations are not as familiar with the technology, but that's okay. One of my friends, who's a year younger than me, doesn't do good with it, so I understand it can be difficult. Although I have a talent for it, I'm not saying that they're not talented, but I do. I've been quite good with technology, but I can understand it can be complicated. Sometimes I have to look up how to find a certain function or something. I have to look up things too. In conclusion, Agnifilio concluded by telling the jury the right thing to do is to acquit Combs of all charges against him. He is not a racketeer. He sits there innocent. Agnifilio said, pointing to Combs, return him to his family, who have been waiting for him. Yeah, the old people. Scared. Hello, Overtime. It's great to see you, buddy. Welcome. Thank you for hitting the like button. He is innocent, defense attorney says. So we're talking about Diddy right now, Overtime. All right, glad to have you here, bro. Wrapping up his closing argument, defense attorney Mark Agnifilio told the jurors that it would be it would take courage to acquit Sean Diddy Combs, but asked them to do the right thing and to acquit him of all the charges against him. Oh, thank you, Anna. Quote, you should feel bold. You should feel courage. Yeah, like, subscribe, and share. Yes, yes. And DJ said, I'm DJing tomorrow, 3 to 7 at Juice Bar, Bridge of Flowers. Oh, okay. Thank you for letting us know. DJ's Overtime says, Maine, it better not rain on my parade. I'm praying. Yeah, amen. Amen. That's awesome, Overtime. I hope that doesn't rain your parade, and I hope that it goes great. You know, that sounds awesome. Quote, you should feel. Oh, thank you, Overtime. I really appreciate that. And y'all are the officially the greatest chats on the internet. And I appreciate you all very much. I appreciate the compliment. You're really cool, Overtime. I always like your commentary in the chat. So the quote, you should feel bold, you should feel courage, that you will need to call this as you see it, and I'm asking you to summon the courage to do what needs to be done. Quote, he is not a racketeer, Agnifilio said. Quote, he is none of those things. Quote, he is innocent. He sits there innocent, Agnifilio said, pointing to Combs. Quote, return him to his family who have been waiting for him. Agnifilio suggested that the government targeted Combs after Casey Ventura's November 2023 lawsuit came up and did what they could to get him without having evidence. What comes next? The jury has been dismissed for a 15-minute break during that time. And this is what the defense's argument against the racketeering conspiracy. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilio told the jury that no alleged co-conspirators were indicted with Sean Diddy Combs, noting Combs alone was indicted. The government doesn't have any alleged co-conspirators who testified to prove that the racketeering conspiracy charge against Combs, Agnifilio said. The government suggested that Christina Coram, a former chief of staff for Combs, was a co-conspirator, but Agnifilio said Coram was just a helpful employee whom loved everyone. And Overtime says Diddy is just done either way. I see it. I just like R. Kelly, Cosby, and more. It's kind of nuts how many people come out the woodwork once the Hollywood through with them. Yeah, it's kind of like they're in a protected zone, and then the force field is taken off, and they're just thrown to the wolves. If the defendant, this defendant if he's guilty of what he allegedly did, yeah, definitely, and also, Weinstein too. R. Kelly's getting a great treatment, I hear. He questioned why Casey Ventura would call Coram and D. Rock, the former head of Combs Security, after Combs assaulted Ventura at California International Hotel in 2016. Hilarious. If they were co-conspirators working only for Combs' benefit. You're eating a cold shrimp salad. A conspirator would kick the door and write, I mean, God forbid it John Gotti was at your door, would call Sammy Bull Gavino, Agnifilio said. Oh, okay, Overtime. Apology Remix Part 2 in 13 minute. 13 minute. Oh, okay. Facts. Defense says Combs would reasonably assume his use of escort services was legal. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilio referred to the escort service Cowboys for Angels that frequently provided the men who attend freak-offs the drug-fueled 6 performances that Sean Diddy Combs orchestrated. The jury previously saw messages between Combs and a high-ranking employee of the company. Ah, yeah, Overtime. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah. Agnifilio suggested that the legality surrounding such an escort service is vague, and that the music mogul would have assumed that its operations were on up and up. Why is he supposed to know more than them? If they're in business and they're are sending escorts, Agnifilio asked, referring to Cowboys for Angels, The lawyers said that people pay for escorts time, and that the two people met and then choose to have sex. It looks like that's not legal. There are these companies around the world doing this, and Cowboys for Angels is one of them, he said, and adding that their existence is evidence, and Combs' mind is what they were doing. It was okay. He said Combs for Angels still appear to be in business today. Over time, I didn't hear. I'm not too sure. You could tell us. You could tell us in the chat what you learned about what happened to Diddy in the first place. Abby says, I got to go to bed because I have clients tomorrow, but wishing you all a great night. Love you all. Thanks, Alien, for streaming. You are the best. Abby, good luck tomorrow. You are amazing, wonderful person, too. Thank you for being here, and have a good night. All right. The damn chloric vodka deal went. I know about the vodka deal. I read about that yesterday. Went wacky. Apparently, they were not happy with the diddler, aka Diddy. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know about the vodka deal he had. I didn't know about the additional information that you just said. So, okay, thank you for. I learned. I didn't know that. Thanks for letting us know. But I know about the vodka deal that happened. I know about that. It did happen. And quote, why is he supposed to know more than them if they're in business and they are sending escorts? Agnifilio asks, referring to the Cowboys for Angels. The lawyers said people pay for an escort's time, and if two people meet and then choose to have sex, it looks like that's not illegal. Quote, there are all these companies around the world doing this, and the Cowboys for Angels is one of them, he said. Adding that their existence is evidence in Combs' mind that what they were doing was okay. He said Combs for Angels still appears to be business today. Agnifilio also argued that the videos of freak-offs were homemade prawn. Sharon said Diddy should have had kinky vodka. Yeah. Hilarious. In every prawn movie, I'm assuming the actors get paid to have sex. However, that's not prostitution. I don't know. And you don't either, he said. They are big company like Coca-Cola style with tactics dangerous. Scary. Hilarious. Thanks, DJ. Well, what about these freak-offs? I mean, this man was having a freak-off chronicle. Like, he was, like, I will say, like, you say as a way of coping, but these freak-offs, now, them being forced, I would say, is not good if, like, he was allegedly forcing people to do stuff. But if it was consensual, it's like a kinky play or something. Like it's like a kinky play or a kinky soap opera where it's like you're gonna have like a Broadway play of the baby oil freak off or something, and they'll have the people with their baby oil and freak offs and dancing around and stuff. This man was like dedicated to the craft. But yeah, marathons. But as I said, if he was forcing people to do stuff, that's not right. And so I went over like the prosecution's rebuttal, And we were there, but we weren't watching like the actual trial itself because it was a federal trial in New York City where they don't have any trials televised. In my opinion, I agree with Jesse Weber that all trials should be public for everybody to see. In my opinion, in his opinion too, like we should have been seeing this. So now, so what we've been doing is going over what the defense is saying. All right, defense attorney criticizes prosecution for getting only two male freak-offs participants to testify. The freak-offs are his workouts. He didn't hit the gym. Also, he needed a huge growing up. Yeah. I think a lot of, with these famous people, their minds are immature in a lot of ways, and they just don't grow past a certain age. And that would explain why they are, doing stuff like this. It's a very good point over time. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilio mocked the government for calling to the witness stand only two men who said they had sex with Casey Ventura while Sean Diddy Combs watched. The government did not call any men who allegedly had sex with Jane to testify. A hug he needed, a hug from Mama. Yeah, hilarious over time. All right, G says, wait, freak-offs aren't six. They are exercise. Are we saying six is exercise? Oh, is it lifting? All right, G, so scared. The dark secret is six is exercise. So the dark secret is that six is exercise. And the freak-offs was like a viewer discretion advised was a giant orgy. So that was like his. So he doesn't like do exercise like a regular person would. He does the sexual stuff as exercise. Oh, okay, G, yeah. No, yeah, the six freak-offs are sexual. Yeah. Witness only two men who they said have sex with Ventura. While Sean Diddy Combs watched, the government did not call any men who allegedly had sex with Jane to testify. Assistant U.S. Attorney Christy Slavic yesterday showed the jury photos of 27 men prosecutors allege Combs paid to have sex with Ventura and Jane between 2009 and 2024. Sharon said he hits D-Dick. All right, overtime. So the something happened earlier that was hilarious at the Diddy trial. That I was telling everybody that came in different time periods what would happen. Ah, G, you weren't wrong. You're wrong. Yes, he was bi. He is bi. Yes. And Regina says, has any of Diddy's victims mentioned catching sexually transmitted disease? I know Diddy frowns on rubber cover-ups, but I haven't heard the freak-offs, including plastic wrap. Regina, what happened was like Casey and some of the others caught a urinary tract infection, but I don't know of any other STDs. And G said, why didn't he just watch Prawn like the others? He had that much time on his hands. Didn't he need to work to make his millions and billions? Okay, G, so he could have been doing some shady stuff with racketeering and also he had this deal with a vodka company, and he was, in the music industry, so that's how he made his money. And he probably did other things too. Yeah, people have too much time on their hands. UTI is bad. Yeah. Yeah, the dirty diddler. All right, so basically what happened was you there is this a situation, let's see, where Diddy, he kept on trying to, coerce people and to be on his side. It's absolutely horrendous if these allegations are true. Yeah, he was a totally far gone person. Oh, overtime. I remember now. Overtime. So, and some of y'all have been hearing me saying this for about 5 times, but I just can't get over it. It's just hilarious to me. So, overtime, when we were watching Diddy earlier, I was with some of the friends, and I kept on hearing somebody, a faint voice saying, "Free Deke." Free Deke. And I'm like, you're going to be in New York City screaming in front of a federal court going on in a courthouse that you want, that there's free Deke? I'm like, come on, this is absurd. Well, is this really going on? Like, am my ears deceiving me? Is my virgin ears deceiving me? I just couldn't fathom what I was hearing. And then they said, in their chat was the Jesse Weber, somebody was saying that it was free Diddy. I'm like, oh, okay. That dude sounded real happy. He was like, free Deke, free, yay. It's like, so overtime, that's what happened earlier. And then there is these people talking about Britney Spears being kidnapped or being struggling, and it was something that was created with AI. And they had these Britney Spears buttons and these Britney Spears posters. And so they had some Britney Spears people that were protesting about something. Then you had the Diddy group that were saying free Deke and free... I couldn't say it with a straight face. And free Diddy. I know. I couldn't. I was just like, this guy sounded so happy. He was like, it's free Deke. I'm like, okay, good for you. The police going to probably tell you to leave the area, I guess. Because, well, I don't know. I mean, it's a sidewalk is free real estate. Oh, here we go again. I'm laughing again. Scared. Okay, so let's go. Let's see what the chat's saying. I love that. Dirty Diddler. Dirty Diddler got some free Deke. The Dirty Diddler got some free Deke. And Overtime says, this is a clown world we live in. Yes, it's the clown world we live in, and it's a Twilight Zone on steroids, yeah. As I'm hearing something, and I'm looking at I was like in chat. I was like, OMG, with the laughing emojis. I just... I could... That's what I was seeing. And I was like, okay, that's going too far. And G said, Dirty Diddler ate some free Deke. Yes, Dirty Diddler got some free Deke. And then the town Timu Sheen crier said, hear ye, free Deke, free Deke. I am admired and glad for all can eat and speak. Don't be bashful to take a peek. Dirty Diddler still reeks. Yeah, Timu Sheen Twilight Zone or Timu Twilight Zone. You forgot the Y. There is a Y in Diddy. Yeah, he's paying for it now. Why Diddy the Diddler was a little bit shy. He never saw anything that big. Like when Diddy's on cell block 6, he's not used to seeing anything that big. He got scared. And he's paying for it now, yeah. And G said, I feel like the jurors will be scared and let him go because, well, who wants him coming after you? Well, you got to remember with Deke Diddy, he allegedly tried to bomb a car, and we know what he did to Casey. So if the allegations are true or false, the jury may not want to be diddlered by the diddler. That's true, G. He's probably asking his mini diddlers to offer them some cash money. Making me sick just thinking about that guy. Oh my god, bro. Dude, it's like, I'm like, what on earth, what incarnation, what on earth is this going on? It's like, I found some free deek, and want to share it with the world and just talk about it in a song. I know that came out wrong. There you go. Yeah, shout out to Tupac. Now, I missed something. Okay, see, Regina, sadly, they should pay him. They side he wanted more than what was worth since it's like 60 now. Yeah, Vodka deal went wrong. As Donkey Kong, Diddy had nothing to say, not even a song. All right, there we go. All right, so there, and then as I said, I was like, what on earth with the signs, with the Britney Spears with tape on her face with the different buttons and her handing out to people. And yes, it's, I can't, that would have been wild to see. And I'm glad that Law and Crime covered it. That was hilarious. Today was hilarious. And then at the Preppy trial, some girls on the stand crying, unfortunately. And chat was saying, gross, 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 something's gross. And, you know, something was, the trial and the Preppy trial was quite, I was listening to it, it was quite cringe. You know, and people are talking bad about the witnesses, and they're like, don't judge people's looks, just screw up. Walking the diddler line. Yeah, so that was some hilarious cringe today. It's like, you know, it was wild. Like, yeah, a civilized courthouse in New York is turning into like a mini LA. To compare it to LA is not fair, but a little tiny LA, it's like you got people screaming, "Free Diddy, free Deke, free Diddy, free Deke." Bend over and don't speak. Grab your ankles and don't speak. Yeah, Sharon, they were nasty. I agree. Defense attorney criticizes prosecution for getting only 2 male freak-off participants testify over that. Okay, and 2 men were said to have 6. Right, they're bringing trouble to your city. Right. It's like usually like when we're like watching the outside of the courthouse is like a spinning door, and like people are walking out. We're making commentary about it, but these people are getting loud and rowdy, man. They're getting insane. They're getting out of control, saying "Free Diddy, free Deke, free Deke." And as I said, there's Britney Spears fans hanging out flyers and buttons to people. G. Okay, the defense is saying that the freak offs were real, but they were consensual. Just scream free and everyone pays attention. Listen to this. You're welcome, G. Defense says Jane never gave an explanation for slamming Combs' head during 2024 fight. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilio has turned to a fight at home of Jane, one of Sean Diddy Combs' accusers testifying under the pseudonym, who previously told the court that the music mogul punched, kicked, and dragged her during an incident in 2024, June 18. Agnifilio described the incident as really, really inexplicable. He said Combs that Jane had never been physically violent through their relationship, that Jane slammed Combs' head into a counter that night. She doesn't really give an explanation for doing this, Agnifilio said. He pointed to a photo of Jane took of Combs earlier that night, saying half an hour later, "You're just waging holy war on the guy, slamming someone's face. It just doesn't get much more aggressive than that." Agnifilio said that Jane was repeatedly calling Combs a pretophile, even though the other woman he was seeing was an adult. Is she looking to get a rise out of him? Agnifilio said. Combs. Right, G. Right, exactly. Combs' accuser agreed to nights with him at the time, regardless of regret after the fact, defense argues. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilio read aloud that part of the testimony from Jane, one of Sean Diddy Combs' accuser, who went by a pseudonym in the case, where she said she unfortunately agreed to a night at a hotel with Combs. She referred to a sobriety party. When Teeny Gergos, another lawyer for the defense, had pushed her at the time on whether she regretted it, Jane said she resented Combs for it. "I believe resent and regret lie in the same feelings," she previously testified. She regretting that she made a choice that maybe years later she would have made a different choice. Or maybe she wouldn't, maybe she would just regret it, Agnifilio said. But he argued that doesn't mean didn't willingly participate at the time. Quote, she agreeing to it sees her agreeing to it. Attorney said she regrets it and she resents it. That's all coming later. All right, continuing. Oh yeah, G, I understand why you'd be frustrated. Brian Steele is representing him too, and I like him for YSL. And I still think he's a cool attorney, and he's is good. He has a good legal team with Brian Steele in there. But I am, I still think he's cool people, Brian Steele. But this case is very, touchy, very touchy. Accuser was motivated by wanting nice things in trips, defense attorney says. Mark defended Scott Peterson, that horrific monster. Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand, G. Accuser was motivated by wanting nice things in trips, defense attorney says. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilio said Jane, who dated Combs from 21 to 24, and used a pseudonym to testify against him in this trial was motivated by wanting nice things and trips she pointed on social media. He said Jane loved Combs, but she was focused on what I am getting out of it, and the world can see Agnifilio. Agnifilio reiterated that argument he made about Combs' sexual relationship with Casey Ventura, who dated Combs from around 2007 to 2018. The government said they're not saying every time hotel night was sex trafficking. Well, then, which ones were, and how's Sean Combs supposed to know the difference? Agnifilio said. Agnifilio also said Jane was used to moving in circles with celebrities like Combs. He reminded the jury that they learned who her child's father is and what rapper she was in Las Vegas in January 24. Quote, she's comfortable being in the same sort of strait. Agnifilio said that's just how she moves. Combs took care of Jane and her child because the child's father dropped the ball, Agnifilio said. Agnifilio described Combs paying rent for Jane's Los Angeles house as a gesture of niceness that shouldn't be construed as a catalyst to sex trafficking. Agnifilio said Jane is receiving pretty crappy child support from the child's father, and she testified in that trial that she receives about $5,000 per month in child support. Guess who's giving her more? The one who has no responsibility for that child at all, Agnifilio said. He's picking up the ball for someone who seems to have dropped the ball for his own kid. And Combs is still paying for Jane's house rent, and even though Jane testified against him, Agnifilio said. They made a deal and he kept it. Good for him, Agnifilio said. Remember, Jane testified extensively about going with Combs to what she called hotel nights, which she described as sexual intercourse. As sexual encounters with a male entertainer, typically in a homeroom. Ventura testified about similar encounters, which she said Combs called freak-offs. People who worked for Combs sometimes called such encounters king nights, wild king nights, according to the testimony. Jane testified and said Combs entertained into a love contract in 2023 in which he agreed to pay her $10,000 per month rent as an allowance. He is still paying for her rent, she testified. Videos from Freak Off show genuine intimacy, defense argues. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilio said Combs may have threatened to release video of Freak Off's the drug-fueled sex performances he orchestrated from time to time, but he never would have actually done it. Agnifilio acknowledged the videos show an uncommon kind of intimacy, but he said the videos of the freak-offs actually show a beautiful evening. Yep, you heard that. The music's nice, the mood seems friendly and easygoing, and everyone is smiling and they're laughing. Forget the six part, he argued. Quote, there's a real genuine intimacy and just nice quality to these evenings. Agnifilio said, adding that the physical intimacy shown in the videos was not aggressive. Agnifilio referred to a testimony from two men who testified they participated in freak offs with Ventura, saying they both thought that Casey was not that. End quote. I don't think by any stretch of imagination that this is the only man in America making homemade prawn, he said. Christina King Combs, son of Sean Diddy Combs, released new music with Kanye West. Christian King Combs, the 27-year-old, he's my age, son of Sean Diddy Combs. G says, OMG, he's calling 16 men doing each other genuine intimacy. Yes. And he said it looks like a fun time. Christina King Combs, the 27-year-old Sean Diddy Combs, teamed up with Kanye West to release music and a song called Diddy Free. He may have been a part of the group. Very possible. And the song is called Diddy Free. Or other words as we know it, it's Deek Free. G said, wow, even the defense is freaky deaky. Yeah, right on. The song is part of 7-track project that debuted Friday, the same day Sean Combs' defense team is making their closing arguments in trafficking and racketeering trial in New York. The chorus of Diddy Free includes the lyrics, ain't going sleep till we see Diddy free. Ain't going sleep till we see Diddy free, G. Scared. The song The song is part of a 7-track project that debuts Friday, the same day Sean Combs' defense team is making their closing arguments in his sex trafficking and racketeering trial in New York. The chorus to Diddy Free includes the lyrics "Ain't going to sleep till we see Diddy free." West made a brief appearance earlier this month at the Manhattan courthouse where the Combs trial is taking place, CNN reported. Deke free, yeah. All right, so Combs seen smiling and interacting with defense counsel in courtroom during break. After Sean Diddy Combs' defense presented the first part of their closing argument today, the music Mongol has been seen smiling and interacting with both his counsel and his family. During a break, when jury wasn't present, at times he was smiling, he was interacting, he was talking to his counsel, he was almost pantomiming intimacy his counsel while he was speaking, said CNN anchor and chief legal analyst Laura Cotis, who have been inside the courtroom today. Coates added that his daughters, who are in a row or two behind him, passed up a no through counsel and then looked back at each other and kind of gave a fist bump, smiled at their father in an encouraging way during the break. Six of Combs' seven children are at the courtroom today alongside Combs' mother, Janice Combs. At one point, Coates said, Shady's back again. Hello. Oh, hello, Liberty. It's great to see you, friend. We're talking about we're talking about the prosecution saying about what Diddy did, and now we're talking about what the defense's arguments are. So the defense is saying, for Diddy's defense, is saying that the freak-offs were a true love connection and was a very happy experience, and it wasn't anything that they were saying that it was being forced or anything, that they're having a genuine experience with each other. Shady's back again, hello, back, tell a friend, guess who's back, Facts. I like that. That's a very good one right there. It was, Kosis said, very movement indeed. Yep, Sharon got it. Combs was also seen reacting to, shout out to Slim Shady. Combs was also seen reacting to Agnifilio's present while the jury was present when the defense lawyer was describing Kid Cudi's testimony that his car was set on fire. Agnifilio said that Combs is the type of person who would instead confront Diddy Cudi directly. Defense attorney pushes. Yep. Will the real Slim Shady please stand up? Will the real Liberty stand up? Please stand up. Will the real alien spaceship please stand up? Yep. Please stand up. Please stand up. Oh, yeah. I like those rhymes. Facts. Yes, Sharon, right? Losing yourself. Yep. Defense attorney pushes back on claims that Combs hindered Ventura's career as closing arguments resumes. Lose yourself. That's the old saying. Lose yourself. Agnifilio said there's nothing to... Shout out to Mary Toodles. Agnifilio said there's nothing to Casey Ventura's claims that Sean Diddy... You're not as crazy as Diddy. Scared? Yep. Lose yourself in the moment. Yep. Liberty's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Facts. I like that. My favorite album is Recovery. Yeah, shout out to Mary Toodles. Yeah. Without Me song has Just Lose It. I always like to when I was in school, I used to always listen to him. And also I listened to the full album my senior year of one of the things he did. Yeah, so very funny stuff. I enjoyed it. Agnifilio said there's All right, Miranda. Prayers that for your success and your victory. Thank you for the update, Miranda, and shout out to you. Thank you for uh, coming by and letting us know. Agnifilio said there's nothing to Casey Ventura's claim that Sean Diddy Combs held her back as artist remained. Reminded the jury they heard from former Combs employee Capricorn Clark that Ventura got the lion's share of resources and attention from the record label from 2007 to 2010. With Recovery, that's where his Not Afraid song comes from. That song has 1 billion views. That song is inspirational to a generation. And that was like a cool, because it was like from the struggles he went through, and then like that was his resolution. Like that was his victory over overcoming obstacles. It's a very good that one was coming out when I was a kid. The other ones were early 2000s and earlier than that, but the Recovery, if that's what you're referring to, came out a little bit later. A lot of suing and court stuff going on with celebs and me politics. You know the name. Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Miranda said, "Hey GS and everyone, sorry GI. I think you've done me your first name before. You told me your first name before. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that the situation with Diddy is gonna go well, but we'll have to wait and see." Yeah, Liberty, that is very creepy with what the AI did to you. So her AI machine thing told her lies. Yeah, and I understand, Liberty, that you'd feel at a loss. And it's very evil for that machine to go and do that to you. Whatever demonic thing was possessing it, or what it did through its own free will, and it had demonic things tied to it, whatever it was. You see, Liberty, how, like the Terminator in those movies were warning about technology getting too advanced. Although it's going to happen, it could be quite scary, especially if it does something wrong like that. Judge says he thinks it's best to give the jury its instructions on Monday. Judge Aaron Schabermine is back on the bench after the lunch break. He said he now thinks it makes the most sense to charge the jury. It is give quick instructions before its deliberations on Monday instead of later in the afternoon. Scared. We're awaiting the resumption of defense attorney Mark Agnifilio's closing arguments as they did. All right, this is some additional things that the jury was saying. So, Sean Diddy Combs' defense attorney, Mark Agnifilio, has spent his morning delivering the defense closing argument prior to the lunch break. Agnifilio touched on several points, including disputing the testimony of Casey Ventura, Kid Cudi, and Capricorn Clark. Curative instruction. Before the jury returned, prosecutor Marine Comey addressed the judge regarding three issues in Agnifilio's remarks so far. She said he improperly asked the jury to consider why prosecutors charge a particular racketeering predicate, saying that the intercontinental video shows misdemeanor assaults, and said he improperly suggested Combs was charged with crimes like arson and kidnapping when they're actually included as the predicates of the racketeering count. The judge gave the jury curative instruction upon their return. Kid Cootie. Yeah. False persona. Agnifilio criticized Mia Combs' former assistant, who testified that he sexually assaulted her, put on a false persona while on the stand, saying that bubbly persona and birthday video that the jury watched Mia's true personality. He also said Mia's testimony about Combs sexually assaulting her was false. This was not unwanted sexual contact, Agnifilio said, adding that it was consensual. Business was also on the cut. Ah, okay. Drug dispute. There's no evidence to support the government's allegation that Combs, with his enterprise, conspired to distribute or possess with the intent to distribute to controlled substance, Agnifilio said. He obviously has a drug problem, Agnifilio said, that adding that while his assistant picked up drugs from him, the purpose of these businesses and enterprise has nothing to do with getting him drugs. Lifestyle choice. Agnifilio said that Combs' Ventura sex life was just not sex trafficking, rather than were swingers, and that was a lifestyle choice between the two. The evidence, Agnifilio said, was overwhelming, that Ventura wanted to participate in the freak-offs. He went on to read aloud a few sexual explicit messages Ventura sent Combs, referring to the encounters to illustrate the points. There was nothing that would say to him this was against her will, he added. Grape dispute. Agnifilio told the jury that even though Combs is not charged with grape and that the jury doesn't have to consider it, there she is. On Monday, it'll be verdict watch. On Monday. Monday is verdict watch for Diddy. But on today, it was the closing by the defense and rebuttal by the state. That's all that happened today. And free Deke. Carlos was not guilty on the first, and the second was hung jury. Yeah, free Deke shout out. All right, Sharon. Okay, Aaron. What happened earlier at the Diddy trial? I was chilling with the chat over there, and so this. So yeah, so there's first degree murder, and they're saying it before. Let's see. One of them was first degree murder, and I have to look up the other one now. Okay, let's see. Mistrial for Carlos Domingos. Let's see. We're gonna read right now what is going on. So, going back. Ah, okay. All right. So here I'll tell you about the Aaron. What's her name? Aaron. We'll tell you about the update about this. Okay. After 9 days of deliberation, over 3 weeks, jurors in the murder trial of former UC Davis student Carlos Domingos could only agree he wasn't guilty of first degree murder. I like what I just said. If what he was not guilty of first degree murder, but there was a second thing. The jury couldn't agree on verdicts for Domingo's remaining charges, and the judge on Friday declared it mistrial. So Domingos faced 2 counts of first degree murder and counts of attempted murder in the spring of 2023 slaying of David Bro in 50 and Karim and Abu Najim in 20, as well as the stabbing of an unhoused woman. They also have what's called a lesser included charges to consider, like the second degree murder and involuntary manslaughter. All right. While jurors acquitted Domingos on 2 counts of first degree murder, they split a 10 to 2 favor of acquittal on second degree murder charge. They never reached a discussion of involuntary manslaughter and attempted murder accusations. All right, so it's first degree murder and second degree murder. First degree murder, not guilty. Second degree murder, hung jury. All right. All right, so with the Diddy trial, so we're watching it, right? And there's people outside protesting and at the Diddy trial at the courthouse. And Aaron, I could have sworn that I heard free Deke, free Deke. And I'm thinking, what are my virgin ears? Are my virgin ears betraying me? What is this? And they were saying, like Jesse Weber said, oh, they just said free Diddy. I'm like, oh, okay. Because the chat and I were laughing. I thought it was like free Deke, free Deke. But nah, he was talking about something else. Free Diddy. And so you had people protesting outside the courthouse saying free, free Diddy. Okay. Free Diddy, free Diddy. Another thing that occurred was there is something about Britney Spears going on with an AI picture of her being kidnapped. And they had a picture of a button with Britney Spears on it with tape on her mouth. And they had a flyer, like a poster. So you had that random Britney Spears thing going on too. And it's like this uh, clown show trial that they're doing all this stuff around the Diddy trial outside. It's quite insane what they're doing. And then there's Jesse Weber did a great breakdown with the legal team, and it was very cool to see that what they were doing. But then again, the free Diddy, free Deke, that got me. I'm like, what on earth are they talking about? Did they kiss their mother with that that mouth? Like, who is they? All right, and then Liberty AI stole my upside down happy face. Scared. Aaron said the whole thing is a joke. Oh lordy, Brittany, she's a ticking bomb. How she made it this far blows my mind. When I was a kid growing up in 2006 and 7 and stuff, there's a lot of drama with her. And now there's this, because outside the Diddy trial, it's like people with Britney Spears buttons and Britney Spears flags. I'm like, well, this is going all the way back. Sharon said, "Free Deke with the bullhorn." That is hilarious. I was just blown away by that, and I'm like, OMG. And that's why Jesse Weber was probably saying like, yeah, Jesse was like, he said free Diddy, so he probably sees the chat and the chat's laughing. He's like, okay, no, chat, he said free Diddy. So we're laughing like, what on earth? My AI broke my little heart. Scared. Aaron said her dancing videos are so cringe. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like, what is she doing? Like what's going on with that? And let's see.
She probably has untreated, mental illness, and it's not being addressed.
I know. It's just that we're in. It's quite there. Okay, so it says, um, basically, I think that the silver lining is that she does have issues, and it whatever she has doesn't help the situation. I mean, yeah, I can't. It's like people are talking about it, and it's outside the courthouse, and it's like, what is a Diddy trial? What's this have to do with anything? Yeah, I remember when she shaved her head. I don't really know why though. I mean, I forgot. I remember I was a kid, but I remember when that was going on. This is back when they had Blackberries and stuff. And I thought I was gonna get a Blackberry, but um, we got our Steve Jobs was like the little buttons on the phone were stupid, so we're gonna have a screen with buttons on the screen. So he revolutionized the whole thing, and BlackBerry went out of business. Well, actually, BlackBerry is still around, but it's run by Android. Now, Android came out in like 2008, and Aaron said, "Is that industry destroying the young? Look, Amanda Bynes, so tragic." Yeah, I remember what happened to Amanda Bynes. Yeah, it is tragic indeed. A lot of them have problems. Right, and then with Agnifilio, he was saying that the the grape is dispute. Agnifilio told the jury that even though Combs is not in charge with grape, that the jury doesn't have to consider it. He can't let them think that the Combs raped Ventura in 2018, as she alleged on the stand. Agnifilio went on the and challenged the timeline that Ventura presented about when exactly it happened, arguing she changed the date to hide the encounter from her now husband, who had found out about it. She lies and says that she was raped, Agnifilio suggested. Her AI thing told her lies. Aaron said, "Okay, friends, I have one eye open and I'm tired, LO, but had to say hi. Have a great weekend if we don't chat." Okay, Aaron, have a great weekend. Thank you for stopping by. Peace. Scared. Scared. The jury has been dismissed for lunch. The jury's taking a lunch break. What to expect after the break? Defense attorney Mark Agnifilio says he was about a half hour left in the closing argument. Assistant U.S. Attorney Maroon Comey said her rebuttal argument will take about 90 minutes. The judge said he intends to charge the jury whenever Comey finishes her rebuttal. He'll then offer the jury to stay, however, late if they want. Intimate relationships with his accusers indicate Combs was not involved in sexual trafficking, attorney argues. Liberty says it started making up stuff from past conversations that were wrong instead of saying I don't know or I can't remember. Yeah, that sounds like it reminds me of the Twilight Zone episode with the puppet Snappy or something, the mannequin thing. That's what that thing reminds me of. So the dude, he had a mannequin, and it would talk to him about doing stuff, and that's what the mannequin. That it reminds me what that mannequin did. Rod Serling was ahead of his time. So I think that mannequin dummy thing was AI. What would happen with the future with AI. So it's like being in the Twilight Zone, literally. Yeah, very creepy. Scared. Yes. And also, the Caesar and Me is one of them. And the other one, which was the dummy. Both of them. Yeah, exactly. All right. The intimate relationships with his accusers indicate Combs was not involved in sex trafficking, attorney argues. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilio pointed to Casey Ventura's answer when she asked what kind of pain Combs put her through. Okay, Regina, have a good evening. Thank you for coming tonight. And quote, I think bigger more than anything, it was his own personal shame in having a carry the things that was shameful to him, Ventura testified previously. Sharon said, sometimes my phone gets really gonky typing words I'm not typing. It won't let me type. It's weird. I know, it's like it has a mind of its own. And another thing about it is that one time, like I had Siri on the iPod, and sometimes it would just come out of nowhere and start talking. And I'm like, I had to turn it off. It kept on trying to communicate, or it would just like out of nowhere, it would just do its thing and ask a question or something like that. I'm like, I'm okay. I didn't even ask for you. It kept on interrupting me all the time. If it happened once or twice, it wouldn't bother me. It just kept on happening. I was like, relax. You could ask Siri certain questions, and it's like there's these tricks with Siri asking it different questions, and it'll give you some strange answers. And also, like, I think one time they asked it if it's a government agent, and it said no comment. And if you ask it about a certain movie about robots, technology taking over the world, it doesn't. If you ask it its favorite movie, it says like the robots taking over the world. I think it was the 2001 movie. So it has different little funny tricks in it. And Sharon says it says sorry I didn't get that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it says that. It's quite mysterious. All right, a little bit more, then we'll be done. In a sex trafficking case, the most painful thing for her was to unburden. Yeah, yeah, unburden him of his shame and carry around his shame. That was the answer. Agnifilio said she couldn't answer that question
You're okay.
on
You're all right.
one of the million ways. The reason is beautiful on only person who could answer the question. That way is person who's truly in love with the other person. And all you need to know is the answer, he said. Both Casey and Jane were saying that this was essential, vulnerable, deep part of him, and that trusted me to get there with him, Agnifilio said, referring to another of Combs' accusers who testified under the pseudonym. He said Jane the answer a similar question in the same way, talking about how she felt her night of hotel was with Combs, something special between them. We got over 100 views. That's really cool. It's very cool. Thanks. All right. Quote, she basically saying, listen, I'm going to be very vulnerable, special place for you. I'm going to do it because I love you, Agnifilio argued, going on, described how in exchange Jane wants to be treated, especially that's a lot of things, but that's not sex trafficking, he added. And also, they pushed back on allegations of rape. Oh, hello, Shecky. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up. And also, thanks for all the likes. We're doing quite good with the likes. One more segment of this Diddy day. All right, okay, Shecky. Thanks for stopping by. All right, so defense attorney Mark Acfilio told the jury that Sean Diddy Combs did not grave Casey Ventura, as Ventura alleged on the stand. The defense attorney pointed out that Combs is not in charge with grape, so the jury doesn't have to consider it but said, I can't let you think that there was a grape. Ventura first alleged in 2023 the civil lawsuit against Combs and the federal investigators that she was raped. In September 2018, she testified at trial that rape actually happened in August 2018. Agnifilio suggested that she had to change her story to say what happened in August because after seeing Combs in September, Ventura texted Combs, I had a lot of fun with you. Thanks for the night. I told myself I didn't want anything to happen, and I'm not tripping on it. I know you weren't either. Agnifilio said her now husband, who she was dating at the time, FaceTimed her in the middle of the night when she was with Combs. Her husband found out that she was with Combs, so she lies and says that she was raped. Agnifilio suggested it. Agnifilio said Ventura changed her story to August because Combs sent her a text saying, I know I look back to you. I could tell. Yeah, Sharon, free Deke. Hey, Alien, thanks for the laughs and live. Have a great weekend and peace. Free Deke, yeah. And saying, I know, look back, I could tell you yesterday, and I felt about the time to get the Shield together, the government has argued this was the admission from Combs. One more thing. Ventura also testified that she later had consensual sex with Combs in October. If there was any grape, she would have not gone back and had consensual, not grape, Agnifilio said. All right. That's it for that segment. All right. All right, everybody. So that is all for the spaceship stream. Thank you all for watching and tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you. And I hope all of you have a great evening and peace.